I knew the benefits of living in such a convenient location as a student living in Bukit de Mansera. Perks that have made my student life a little easier include proximity to Help University and easy access to transportation. But little did I know that one night that seemed normal would lead to a terrifying encounter that would stay in my memory forever. My study session had lasted into the small hours on one of those evenings. When it was 4 o'clock, I decided it was time to stop and get busy with a boring chore like doing laundry. I went into the kitchen, where the washing machine was, with my laundry basket containing a week's worth of dirty clothes. I couldn't wait to get into my bedroom to get some sleep as I carelessly threw my clothes into the washing machine. A flash of light shining out of the corner of my eye caught my attention as I worked on my assignment. I looked out the window out of curiosity and thought it was a cat sitting on the wall. To my surprise, the glitters were much more menacing than the cat's thoughtful eyes. The shimmers turned red and seemed focused on me. I dismissed the eerie sight as a figment of my imagination because my logical mind wouldn't accept the possibility of ghosts or other supernatural beings. I poured detergent into the machine in an attempt to get rid of the creepy feeling, but as I did, a shiver ran up my spine. It was an inexplicable feeling of being watched closely. The room seemed to be filled with a chilling presence as my heart started pounding. My initial doubt gave way to a growing sense of dread. I turned reluctantly, braced myself for whatever might happen. The sight that was there before me made me freeze with fear. Instead, I was greeted by a pair of piercing eyes that belonged to a figure covered in long, flowing hair rather than a cat. Without any signs of kindness or humanity, all eyes turned to me. As fear gripped me, time seemed to stand still. At that time, I was sure I was dealing with a Pontianak, an evil spirit from local folklore. My blood raced with fear when I realized what had happened. With all the courage I could muster, I closed the washing machine while trying to maintain a relaxed attitude. I went inside, picking up my laundry basket in the most discreet way possible. I slammed the kitchen door and ran to my room to escape the cruel situation. The image of staring eyes lingered in my mind as I stumbled to the safety of my room, panting and shaking. A banana tree stood just outside the window where eyes stared at me, serving as an ominous reminder of the unearthly presence lurking in the shadows. My life would never be the same again, I realized. I was paralyzed with fear as I hid under the covers and contemplated the strange encounter that had unfolded before my eyes. I kept wondering what other horrors awaited me in the nights to come, as the terrifying image of the Pontianac's relentless gaze haunted my mind. Little did I know that this horrible experience was just the beginning of a nightmare that would engulf every moment of my life, dragging me into a world where the line between the living and the dead blurs into a horrifying reality. After my disturbing encounter with the Pontianak, my life was filled with an overwhelming sense of dread. Sleep became difficult to obtain due to the nightmares that constantly swirled around the horrific image of those piercing, relentless eyes. My bedroom had gone from a place of comfort and familiarity to one filled with fear and paranoia. I did my best to go about my daily activities during the day and sought solace in the comfortable environment of the college. But the weight of fear lingered and followed me everywhere like an ominous ghost. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It was as if the Pontianak kept watching over me during the day. I heard rumors of a terrifying legend as I wandered the Help University campus. The students described the evil spirit that haunted Bukit de Mansera and tormented those who dared cross its path. The story told the tragic tale of a wronged woman who sought revenge on those who betrayed her, but whose spirit was forever chained to the mortal realm. I learned more about the legend of the Pontianak because I was both fascinated and scared. History unfolded before me like a twisted tapestry, tying together the threads of betrayal, grief, and a maddened desire for revenge. According to legend, the Pontianak lured unsuspecting victims into its clutches, stealing their lives and leaving a trail of despair in their wake. Reading more about the legend, I learned that the banana tree in front of my window had a meaning. It was believed to function as a passageway between the physical world and the supernatural world. The Pontianak had chosen the tree as an ethereal perch to guard and torment its prey after being attracted by the energy it gave off. I locked myself in my room every night to escape the dangers that awaited me outside. But my sanctuary was plagued by the constant hum of the Pontianak crawling through the walls. I felt uneasy when a faint whisper, like a gentle breeze carrying secrets, broke the silence. I was deprived of sleep and tortured, and I couldn't help but feel the presence of the Pontianak becoming more noticeable every day. Strange events occurred frequently as shadows began to dance in my peripheral vision. Things began to move mysteriously, doors began to open by themselves, and the air itself seemed filled with an otherworldly presence. The atmosphere of my student life that had once been vibrant had turned into a place of constant dread. I fell back into a mere shell of the person I once was, plagued by the unrelenting gaze of the Pontianak and the eerie whisper that echoed through my whole being. Looking for some solace, I turned to the stories of people who had survived encounters with the Pontianak. To appease the vengeful spirit, they mentioned ancient rituals, spells, and offerings. With trembling hands, I gathered what little knowledge I had, clinging to the faint hope that I might find a way to ward off the evil presence that had engulfed my life. As I delved deeper into the world of supernatural lore, I realized that the Pontianak's power over me was more than a coincidence. I should have summoned all my courage to face the evil force that had invaded my existence ever since it had targeted me. I readied myself to face the Pontianak head on, knowing my journey would take me to a world where reality and nightmares intertwined, armed with knowledge and a newfound determination. The distinction between the living and the dead became more and more blurred as time went on, bringing the situation to a terrifying conclusion where the fate of my soul was at stake. I took a perilous path that would lead me into the heart of darkness, armed with ancient rituals and the determination to face the Pontianak. As if sensing my intentions, the spirit began preparing to defend its ethereal territory as the whispers grew louder and the shadows more palpable. With the guidance of a local spiritual healer, I journeyed into the depths of Bukit de Mansara, where the line between this world and the next was thinnest. Our destination was a secluded glade surrounded by tall trees and an eerie silence. The energy in the air seemed otherworldly, as if ghosts from the past were keeping tabs on everything we were doing. As I waited impatiently, I sang incantations passed down from generation to generation under the guidance of the healer. Along with the sounds of nature, the words echoed in the night air, filling my senses with the scent of incense. The Pontianak loomed over me, its hideous presence tightening its grip on my soul. The trees in the clearing swayed and whispered as the sudden gust of wind swept over them. Suddenly, a figure appeared in front of me as the shadows began to dance. The Pontianak stood before me, her long hair billowing like a menacing cloud, her eyes burning with anger and grief. I shivered, but held on with a determination forged in the depths of fear. I spoke to him, I felt his pain, and I implored his mercy. She began to cry as tears welled up in her ethereal eyes, showing the human emotions the tragedy had changed. The voice of the healer joined mine, shouting prayers of reconciliation and deliverance. A blinding light enveloped the clearing as the incantations reached their climax. The Pontianak form swayed, her features softened, and the pain that had haunted her for centuries was replaced with an expression of peace. Forgiveness and understanding flowed into the worlds of the living and the dead in this fleeting moment. The Pontianak left with a sigh of relief, her mind freed from the chains of retribution. Once again, the darkness cleared and the night fell silent. Knowing that I had helped end the cycle of suffering that had kept the spirit in this world, I stood in awe, my heart still pounding. After the horrors I experienced changed her forever, I carried the memory of this strange encounter into my normal life. A newfound appreciation for the precarious balance between the natural world and the supernatural was left behind as the once overwhelming presence faded. I grew up in a strange little house. It was a peculiar, tall, thin structure that seemed to defy the rules of architecture. It stood alone but looked like an attached house, with a basement, 3 floors, and a dark attic. The odd charm that this house exuded captured my attention. Its peculiarities included 2 working fireplaces, An odd shower stall in the middle of the basement, a small backyard enclosed by a high fence, and a vintage rope pull dumbwaiter that connected the kitchen to my bedroom. Despite all of its peculiarities, I adored that strange little place. But our house had not fared well with time. Old and worn out, the house required ongoing maintenance, which eventually cost too much for my parents to bear. We made the difficult decision to depart from our beloved home. Preparing everything for the upcoming move became challenging. I took control of my belongings and put them all in their proper places. While cleaning out my closet, I noticed something I had never noticed before: an attic door that was concealed beneath the roof. I was intrigued by the idea of discovery, and my adventurous spirit beckoned me to explore the highest points of our strange home in order to discover its hidden secrets. I went into the mysterious uppermost part of our house and opened the attic door, sitting atop the sturdy brick of clothes I'd made, with excitement coursing through me. The unexpected illumination that welcomed me inside startled me. The dim red Christmas lights hanging from the ceiling gave the space a foreboding glow. I peered through various gaps and cracks and saw slivers of light seeping into the rooms below, as if the secrets of the attic yearned to be revealed. An odd sight greeted me when I turned to look up in the attic. It appeared that someone had lived here because a temporary living space had been made. The foundation of the house could now be seen because the insulation had been carefully sealed off. Unremembered nights may have been spent in this forgotten chamber, as evidenced by the accumulation of sleeping bags and sheets on a battered gurney. To my surprise, there was a rusted, mint-green refrigerator against one wall, and when I tested it, it was still functional, despite its advanced age. But what was much more unsettling were the bones among the strange furnishings. The attic floor was covered in countless bones that had been piled in different locations. Bones from various creatures, ranging in size from small and delicate to large and robust, were intertwined. The gleaming white surfaces of the bones stood out sharply against the shadows in the space. I just admired the bizarre collection because my young mind couldn't comprehend the significance of this macabre collection. The blackened color of two piles in particular stood out from the others, giving the impression that an attempt had been made to set them on fire. The surfaces of the walls closest to these burned-out artifacts were inscribed with ominous, cryptic messages in bone char. The majority of the writings were illegible smears, but the word "sorry" repeatedly appeared, a heartbreaking apology etched in bone. As I dozed off, I realized that I had been unaware of the existence of this room for 8 long years. It was a horrifying realization that I now had. Knowing about this hidden chamber piqued my unsettling curiosity. The allure of the unknown beckoned, but little did I know that the answers to these queries would lead me on a terrifying journey into the heart of darkness that lurked within our peculiar little house. Who had lived here, and why had they left such an eerie collection of bones behind? What secrets lay hidden within these walls? We started to feel uneasy in our home in the days that followed my unnerving attic discovery. It began subtly with the odd creak of the floorboards or a whispering draft that touched my skin. My parents told me not to worry because the house was just getting older, dismissing my concerns. I, however, couldn't shake the feeling that something more evil was at play. As night fell, a strange symphony of unsettling noises started to play. The room was filled with soft, hardly audible whispers that seemed to have a supernatural weight. They teased me in the darkness, their words dancing just beyond my comprehension. Sleep became a distant companion that eluded me as the nights grew longer and more restless. My attic explorations had piqued my interest to the point of obsession. I felt compelled to unravel the mysteries of that deserted room because I was drawn to it. My heart was racing as I climbed the squeaky stairs holding a flashlight. As I entered the attic, I could feel a noticeable amount of tension. The red Christmas lights flickered ominously over the piles of bones, casting eerie shadows. I climbed the walls to examine the messages written in bone char, trying to decipher their meaning. Nevertheless, despite my best efforts, I was unable to understand the messages, as if their purpose were torment rather than enlightenment. The dim glow of the holiday lights was extinguished while I was looking around due to a sudden gust of wind, that swept through the attic. I was overcome with overwhelming dread as the room completely went dark. From the depths came a chorus of whispers, their voices a cacophony of sorrow and regret. They muttered an ominous refrain of, "I'm sorry, we are sorry." My chest tightened, and I stumbled backward in a panicked attempt to escape the threatening presence that was the attic. As I ran downstairs in search of safety in the cozy surroundings of my bedroom, the whispers pursued me. Even within the confines of my sanctuary, I could still hear their eerie cries, serving as a constant reminder of the darkness that had been exposed. My brief period of sleep was immediately interrupted by nightmares, making sleep a flimsy illusion. In my dreams, I frequently saw skeletal figures with hollow eyes that looked at me accusingly. The eerie whispers seeped into my subconscious, and the ghostly words left their mark on the fabric of my mind. Weeks turned into days as the pain grew more and more oppressive. Shadows started to exert their own will and started to twist and contort into strange shapes. Things moved of their own free will, disregarding the laws of reason. The house's foundations were infused with a malevolence that defied explanation, and the building itself seemed to tremble under the influence of an enigmatic force. After realizing how dark our home had grown, my parents decided they needed assistance. In an effort to find some measure of solace as the despair grew closer, they dialed a team of paranormal investigators. Nevertheless, we were unaware of the fact that the true nature of our strange house was much more evil than we had dared to hope. As the detectives delved deeper into our home's mysteries, they unintentionally let loose a terror that would test our sanity to the limit. The sinister whispers were only the beginning of force that yearned to be let loose. Previously, a refuge of strange charm, the house had evolved into a negative force. As they dug deeper, the investigators' attempts to stifle the terror that had been released failed. Our feeble attempts to reclaim our home were mocked by the surge of newly discovered power of the paranormal energies. We were nearly driven insane by the tortured screams that evolved from whispers and echoed through the hallways. Shadows started to form, coiling around us like ominous tendrils with a chilly, oppressive touch. Every action we took, every breath we took, was a battle against the unseen forces that kept us confined. Rather than being merely historical artifacts, it soon became clear that the bones in the attic served as a vehicle for a long-suppressed evil. The apology messages written in bone char were frantic requests for forgiveness from a presence that yearned for more, not expressions of regret. In our final act of desperation, we turned to an ancient ritual in an attempt to bind the evil that had plagued our lives. Candles flickered and cast a shaky glow throughout the room as we chanted incantations intended to drive out the darkness. But all our actions did was exacerbate the situation. The very foundation of the house began to tremble as the evil erupted and took on a horrifying form. It was a completely black entity that erupted in an unholy rage as its icy grip grew tighter around our souls. The strength of the evil that had been unleashed seemed to outweigh our valiant efforts, despite the fact that we were using hope as our weapon. The ruins of our shattered lives and our beloved home had to be left behind. We had no choice. The house, sullied by the ancient evil, stood as a solemn testament to our loss and a chilling reminder of the horrors we had witnessed. The year was 1960 when Patricia Montandon, a renowned socialite, journalist, and famed party host, decided to settle into an apartment on San Francisco's famous crooked block, Lombard Street. The charming Russian hill abode seemed like the perfect place for her vibrant and extravagant lifestyle. Little did you know that her blissful existence would soon be shattered by a series of inexplicable and terrifying events. For the first 8 years, Patricia's life in the apartment was nothing short of idyllic. She hosted glamorous parties filled with laughter, music, and the joyous chatter of her high-profile guests. But it all changed one fateful night when she decided to embrace the mystical world of astrology and held an astrology-themed party within the walls of her apartment. As the night progressed, a sense of unease lingered in the air. as though unseen eyes were watching from the shadows. The tarot card reader hired for the event, a disgruntled and enigmatic individual, seemed to possess an eerie aura. Whispers circulated among the guests, hinting at the reader's connection to the supernatural. Unbeknownst to Patricia, that night set in motion a sinister chain of events that would plague her existence. In the days following the astrology-themed party, strange occurrences began to unfold within the walls of her apartment. Eerie laughter echoed through the rooms, seeming to emanate from nowhere and everywhere simultaneously. Faint, haunting music wafted through the corridors, playing on an endless loop, yet no source could be found. The temperature inside the apartment plummeted without warning, despite all doors and windows being securely locked. Rushes of icy wind pierced through the rooms, chilling Patricia to the bone. Frightened, she investigated every nook and cranny, searching for logical explanations, but found none. As days turned into weeks, the paranormal phenomena intensified. Unsettling, disembodied footsteps echoed in the dead of night, creeping closer to Patricia's bedroom. Each creak of the floorboards filled her with dread, and sleep became an elusive luxury. Unseen hands brushed against her skin, sending shivers down her spine. Yet, the horrors haunting Patricia's life extended beyond the realm of the supernatural. She became the victim of a series of inexplicable physical crimes. Valuable possessions went missing, leaving her feeling violated and vulnerable. Harassment from anonymous sources plagued her, their threats fueling her growing paranoia. One particularly traumatic incident involved a suspicious fire that consumed a part of her apartment, leaving behind charred remnants of her once beautiful sanctuary. But the true heartbreak came with the untimely demise of 3 of her closest friends, all of whom had, at different times, inhabited the apartment between 1968 and 1969. Each death bore an air of tragedy, leaving Patricia devastated and questioning the dark forces that seemed to have a relentless grip on her life. Determined to unravel the mystery behind the curse that had befallen 1000 Lombard Street, Patricia Montandon embarked on a treacherous journey into the unknown. Armed with her resilience and a deep-seated need for answers, she vowed to uncover the secrets that lay within the haunted apartment, ready to face whatever darkness awaited her. Little did she know that her investigation would lead her down a twisted path, unveiling a tale of malevolence, sorrow, and the terrifying power of curses. Patricia Montandon was about to confront the true nature of the horrors that awaited her on Lombard Street. As Patricia Montandon delved deeper into her investigation, the walls of her haunted apartment seemed to close in around her. Determined to lift the shroud of darkness that had plagued her for far too long, she embarked on a quest to uncover the secrets behind the curse that had ensnared 1000 Lombard Street. The enigmatic tarot card reader from the ill-fated astrology-themed party became the focal point of Patricia's inquiries. With relentless determination, she scoured the city, tracking down anyone who might hold a clue to the reader's identity and the source of the malevolent curse. Whispers led her to the seedy underbelly of San Francisco, where she encountered individuals steeped in the world of mysticism and the occult. Through back alley meetings and secret gatherings, Patricia pieced together fragments of the reader's life, a tale riddled with resentment, bitterness, and a deep-seated desire for revenge. It was revealed that the tarot card reader, angered by perceived slights and disregard from those who sought their guidance, had indeed cast a curse upon the apartment that fateful night. Blinded by anger and fueled by an insatiable thirst for power, they had invoked ancient forces that seeped into the very foundation of 1000 Lombard Street, cursing it with everlasting torment. As Patricia unraveled the truth, the paranormal occurrences within the apartment escalated with malevolence. Shadows morphed into sinister figures that whispered secrets from the depths of the abyss. Demonic faces materialized on the walls, tormenting Patricia's sanity. The air crackled with a palpable aura of dread, a constant reminder of the curse's grip on her life. But Patricia's determination only grew stronger. She sought out renowned paranormal investigators, spiritualists, and exorcists, hoping to find a way to break the curse's hold. They, too, were drawn to the apartment's dark energy, their presence intensifying the supernatural phenomena. Together, they conducted seances, invoked protective spells, and attempted to banish the vengeful spirits that haunted the place. Yet each effort proved futile, as the curse fought back with a renewed ferocity. Objects levitated, furniture trembled, and the very walls seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. The curse's true power was revealed when Patricia stumbled upon a hidden chamber beneath the apartment, a forgotten space steeped in ancient rituals and sacrificial remnants. Within its cursed confines, she discovered a decaying journal, its pages filled with the tormented ramblings of the tarot card reader. It was then that Patricia realized that her quest for liberation had inadvertently awakened forces far more sinister than she had ever imagined. The curse, fueled by the reader's rage and desperation, had become an entity of its own, latching onto the apartment and those who dared to challenge it. The battle between Patricia and the curse had escalated into a war for survival, a fight against a malevolence that transcended the boundaries of the physical world. Determined to reclaim her life and free the apartment from its torment, she prepared for one final confrontation, a clash of wills against an ancient evil that refused to release its grip. Armed with newfound knowledge, protective talismans, and an indomitable spirit, Patricia Montandon prepared to face the horrors that awaited her within the cursed walls of 1000 Lombard Street. The stage was set for a climactic showdown, where the lines between the living and the dead blurred, and the price of victory remained uncertain. In the darkness that enveloped the apartment, Patricia's courage shone as a beacon of hope. She was ready to defy the curse's malevolence and bring an end to the reign of terror that had plagued her life for far too long. As Patricia Montandon stood at the threshold of her haunted apartment, a mix of trepidation and determination coursed through her veins. The air crackled with an oppressive energy, as if the curse itself sensed her presence and prepared to unleash its full fury. With unwavering resolve, Patricia stepped forward, armed with the knowledge and tools she had gathered throughout her harrowing journey. The weight of her friends' premature deaths and the torment she had endured fueled her determination to break the curse's hold. She moved through the apartment, her footsteps purposeful and steady, refusing to yield to the shadows that writhed and twisted in her path. A surge of otherworldly energy swirled around her, testing her resolve, but she remained resolute, her will unyielding. In the heart of the cursed chamber, Patricia found herself face to face with the embodiment of the curse, a malevolent force that thrived on anguish and despair. It manifested as a swirling tempest of darkness, laced with chilling whispers and distorted voices. Summoning every ounce of courage she possessed, Patricia confronted the entity head-on. She recited ancient incantations, channeling her inner strength and righteous fury. The apartment trembled, as if caught in the throes of an invisible battle, its walls echoing with the desperate cries of vengeful spirits. For what felt like an eternity, the struggle raged on, an ethereal clash between light and darkness. But Patricia refused to falter, drawing upon her indomitable spirit to dispel the curse's hold on the apartment and herself. In one final act of defiance, Patricia called upon the spirits of her fallen friends, their memories and love infusing her with an unparalleled strength. Their presence, combined with her unwavering resolve, tipped the scales in her favor. With a deafening roar, the curse unraveled, its malevolence dissipating into the ether. The apartment grew still, the oppressive atmosphere lifting like a heavy fog. Patricia had triumphed over the darkness that had plagued her life, vanquishing the curse that had tormented her for so long.